Hi, today we're going to be going over the Java solution for Leetcode 14. Longest common prefix. Write a function to write the longest common prefix string amongst an array of strings. If there is no common prefix, return an empty string as, I guess, given here. Um, so prefix means basically the starting letters of a word. So, longest common. So we're going to try to look for basically which starting sequence of letters do all of the elements in a string array have in common. So if you're looking for the shortest, of course, it's just an empty string. If you're looking for the second shortest, in this case, it would be F. So all of them have F in common from the beginning. And then if we move on to L, all of them have FL in common. But if we look on to the third letter, FLO, FLO, but this is FLI. So they don't all have three of the beginning letters in common. So that's why we'll just return the two, which is the guaranteed one they have in common, which is just FL. With this one, we can see that, even the starting letter, none of them have in common. So we just return an empty string. And so I think there are two key takeaways from here. Number one is that we just need one of these to be different than the other in order to figure out the longest common one. We could basically look at this one, we can see the FL, and then even though both of these have O and O, this one has an I, which breaks the whole continuity, which means we could just break it from there and just return however many we have completed thus far, however many letters we have found thus far that they have in common. And then the second thing is that the maximum length of the output string can ever equal is basically the shortest or smallest element in the array. So let's do that. Let's go find it. So we'll do an int minimum, which is going to equal integer dot max value, and we'll have an int index. Since that's the thing we care about, we're going to look for the index of the string so that we could basically analyze it, I guess. And then we're just going to go through the whole array. And now, if str's of I dot length is less than our min, then number one, our min is going to turn into that length, and our index is going to equal that index. So after we come out of this loop, we'll have the index of the shortest or tied for the shortest element, string element. So for communication sakes, or to make, so for the case of making this a bit more clear, I'm just going to store that in a temporary string. I'll name str. And that is going to equal strs of index. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to, number one, do a double for loop. And how the loop is going to be structured is that our outer loop is just going to look through all the letters of our smallest string. So str. So in this example one, it would be flow. In example two, it would be dog. And we're just going to look through all the letters. And then our second loop is going to loop through all the elements to see, do they have that character in common. So let's do that. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than str.length, I plus plus. Don't know why it does that. Okay, there we go. And then for int j is equal to 0, and now j is less than the length of the array, and we'll do j plus plus. And for clarity's sake, I'm gonna store the character we are using as a temp, a character temp, and that's gonna equal str.char at I. So when we loop through all the elements, it's like if they do equal our temporary, then that's great. If they don't, that's the case we care about. So if strs of j.char at I is not equal to our temporary, then we know we have basically found the longest common prefix. And that's just going to be how many letters we have completed thus far. So we could just return the substring of from 0 to I of our str, or really any other element. And if we go through this, we go out of this for loop, then we know that, we have completed all of the letters, which means that we can just return str itself, since that means that str itself is common with all the elements. So let's see if it works. Okay, great. And now let's submit it. Okay, great. So that was Leetcode 14, longest common prefix.